So welcome back to Marnie's Marketing Mondays, and today I want to share with you a book that I read actually a couple years ago that I got some ideas from, and I actually dissected the structure of their book as one of the examples in the Create a Wow book program because the way they structured it is kind of neat. If you want to ever write a book that uses an acronym, or if you want to break a book into parts or anything like that, this book has an interesting structure and the way that they've done that I kind of like. So, as I was reading it through the second time, I see some things where it kind of jumps around a little bit, and it's not perfectly structured, I'll give it that, but it has some good ideas in it. And so let me go ahead and start with that screen share again here and go through some of the ideas this is from Chris Brogan and Julian Smith's the impact equation. So at the beginning of the book, they're trying to tell you a little bit about what this book is and what it's not. And it's not a book on Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn, or anything like that. It's not about a platform, because the platforms change. The tools are constantly changing. So they are endeavoring to give you a book that gives you the principles of creating an impact no matter what tools come and go or whatever's available. And they basically feel like this book will be viable until people have a way to just instantly connect with each other, where you could immediately, if you had a question, you could go on Google and search, and it would instantly connect you with a person who has your answer, whether that person's in Timbuktu or wherever, it would instantly connect you. So they're like, until we come to the point where we're that connected, you would need to know how to create an impact and how to reach people. Basically, this is what they're saying, is it's about getting a larger audience to see and act upon your ideas, and then learning how to build a community around that experience to take it all to an even higher level. So you're reaching even more people. And it's about how to build ideas. They spend quite a bit of time on how to build ideas, how to structure them, how to brainstorm them, how to tell if you've got good ideas, how to whittle down which ideas are bad and which ones are going to work. And they've got a whole section on ideas in here. So if you have too many ideas or not enough ideas, they got something for everybody in that section. And then also how to move those ideas through a platform so they'll be seen and discussed, and then building a strong human element around those ideas so people actually know that you care about their participation. The book is really all about people. It's not about the platforms you use as far as the Twitter, the Facebook, whatever. It's about connecting with people and really creating an impact with those people. So having an impact. They had some points in here that you want to remember, that your tribe can come from anywhere. They could be online, they could be offline, they could come from one platform or another. Where they come from is not as important as that you leave an impression on these people that matter, and that you help them gather around you in some way. So this book, I read it about the same time I read Tribes. So a couple weeks ago, we just discussed Seth Godin's Tribes. This book takes Tribes and goes a little further, I think, in really helping you identify good ideas, bad ideas, and what to do with your ideas. And you want their passion and yours to come together. So the people who are following you, they're passionate about something, you're passionate about it, and then you can leave a mark in the world because you're gathering these people around an idea that matters to them and to you. They bring out that it's more important to develop a connection with a single person and to know how to do that well than it is to do it in mass. And that seems a little counterintuitive if you're trying to create an impact. But it goes back to what I'm always teaching in my product creation classes or identifying your audience trainings, that you want to speak to the one person with the one problem. And when you do, you're going to resonate with all the other people who have the same problem. Of course, you want to discuss something that there are enough people that are interested in it, So they bring that out in the book, like they use an example of like these young people are always coming to them and talking about how they can help bands, like, oh, I know all about bands and getting a band started or whatever. I'll teach people how to get bands started or whatever. And they brought out in the book, yeah, but bands don't have any money and they're not going to spend it, So you want to, whatever problem you can solve that you know about, there needs to be an audience that's willing to spend some money on it. So that's one of the other elements that they bring out. Okay, so here's the acronym. The book is built around this acronym for impact, which is CREATE. So just to quickly go through that, and then we're going to go through them more in depth. The first one is contrast. R is for reach, E is for exposure, A is for articulation, T is for trust, and E is for echo. So CREATE, contrast, reach, exposure, articulation, trust, and echo. So let's go through these and really look at them. Before we do that, they bring out that when you want to create impact, you want to tell stories about the people in your community. And you want to be helpful, be personable, be concise, don't want to be rambling all over, and you want to share value. And it's important that you be original. So you'll see as we go through the acronym that these things are going to come out. This is just another way of saying the similar things here. So let's start with contrast. Contrast is when an idea hits a person and it has to feel like something they've heard before. It seems similar. It's not so foreign that they can't even wrap their mind around it. So it's got some familiarity to it, but it's different enough to get noticed. So like a new twist on something. To relate this to your niche, you may be in a niche that's common. There's other people that serve it, but you've got a unique selling proposition. You've got a unique thing that makes you different, some idea or twist on what you're doing that makes you contrast between your competition and you. And then reach is how many people are getting hit by your message. And the higher the number of the people you can connect with, the more influential your idea can become. So in its rawest form, reach is about the size of your list, your number of followers, how many people you connect to, and all the different ways out there, how many people are on your Twitter following and your Facebook following, and how many people you've collected into your liking your Facebook page, or collected in even to an audience, a custom audience on Facebook ads or wherever, how many ever people you can reach, and the higher the better. And you can buy reach. This is something about reach, is it's buyable. You can pay to advertise, you can do whatever. Not all these elements are purchasable though, and it really takes some work and some effort and consistency to do a lot of these things. It just doesn't happen overnight. But reach is one of those things that you can kind of buy. Exposure is how often that you're reaching the people that you can reach. So it's the art of hitting people again and again until they finally decide to take some kind of action. And so in its simplest form, exposure is the frequency. So I see this a lot, like when I run Facebook ads, there's a reach, which is how many people it reached. And then there's a frequency, and it'll be something like 1.09. That means that each person that I've reached with that ad has been reached 1.09 times, or maybe it's 2 times, or whatever. The more the ad runs, then they could see it more than once. So getting in front of somebody, even the exposure can be purchased as well in some formats. But you want to be careful, like spam is about exposure. You know, if you keep hitting people with spam all the time, but it's useless. It's useless exposure. So it's important to look at each of these elements within the framework of the entire formula. Just one of them is not going to be your answer. It's going to be the whole synergy of all of them. All right, so articulation, or high articulation, means an idea is like a sword. It cuts through the fog of the brain, hitting you in exactly the right place to make you understand it. So if contrast is about being seen, articulation is about being understood instantly. So when you have really good articulation, people tend to resonate with whatever if it's a post or whatever. They might be like, oh, I never thought about that way, or oh, I love the way you said that, or oh, maybe I've been thinking that, and you put what I've been thinking into words. You'll hear those kind of things and that kind of feedback from people if you've got good articulation. And we'll kind of touch on that again in a minute. Trust is about confidence, reliability. It's a feeling that someone gets from you, that they feel like they can be close to you or that they can relate to you. And they've got another acronym from this one. They have another book called some kind of trust. I forget what the second word is. Trusted advisors or something like that. I forget the name of it. But they recap the formula in that book. And they're basically saying, they're using Chris's name without the H in it, I guess. R-I divided by S is trust. So C is credibility, R is reliability, and I is intimacy, and then you divide it by self-interest, because if people sense that you're just in it for yourself, that it's just all about you and what you're selling and what you have to offer, then you might have credibility, which is like, have you got some letters behind your name or experience to prove that you know what you're talking about. You could be really reliable and you could create some kind of connection. But if it's really all just done to self-serve you, you divide, you lower your trust at that point. So the higher the self-interest, the lower the trust on this. Echo is the feeling of connection you give your reader, visitor, or participant. So it's a little bit more than that. And I read almost the bulk of the book, and when I was reading it, before I really understood what they're trying to say by echo. So hopefully I can help you get what echo means a little better here. Echo is when you're using their language, you're finding common ground, you're sharing your feelings. It gives your message legs because people they're really connecting with it and they're sharing it and they're getting you, and it's more of this almost a little bit of a nebulous thing that's hard to quantify exactly. But give you a thought on this. My husband, while I was working on this, he was watching the John Adams miniseries thing. Mm-hmm. Okay, so John Adams was sent to France while Benjamin Franklin was there. And John Adams was very cut and dried. And he just wanted to go over there and say, you need to give us more ships. You need to get over here. You need to help us more. And he was just very to the point, trying to make it happen. Benjamin Franklin, on the other hand, was partying and having a good time with all the French people and making all these connections. And he got the job done where John Adams could not get it done. And I thought about this echo thing right here. Let's go back to that. He used their language. John Adams never tried to learn their language at all. He used an interpreter the whole time. Franklin he learned their language. He found the common ground. He played their games. He relaxed into their lifestyle and everything. And he focused on connecting with them. And then when he needed their help, they went along with it, where Adams just couldn't do it. So that's an example, I think, of echo being used in a real world example. So they take the book and they have it into these main parts. The first part is, your goals of what you want to accomplish with the learning impact. But then they go into these other three parts. And the second part is ideas. And if you look at their formula, contrast and articulation have to do with your ideas. Those two fit under the idea concept. You want to be able to contrast your idea, how it is unique and different from other ones, but also it needs to be familiar enough that you're not totally alienating people by just being totally off the wall. And then you need to be able to articulate it succinctly and clearly so that people can really get it. So a lot of times I notice with people is they kind of ramble all around. They don't get their points down to where they're succinct. And I see a lot of rambling. And I know I've done it too, so I'm not innocent in that regard. But the more clear and concise you can get your ideas, the more they're going to take flight and really become, you know, a viral situation. So good ideas make you feel something, anything, you know. So if you're having a feeling about it, that's a good idea, okay? And good ideas also attach themselves to other concepts in the brain. So if they've got another concept, metaphors are good ways to convey ideas. They bring that out in the book, that because they've got a framework of what something common, ordinary, something they've heard of, and then they use that metaphor to help you get the idea. They use a lot of game metaphors in the book, which I tend to, after a while, like I read a few of them and then I'm like, okay, I'm going to skip. They're going off on another video game. So you'd think they were writing to, you know, I don't know, 20-something-year-old guys or something, but maybe they are. But they use a lot of those metaphors in there, but not so much that you can't follow the book. But you want to use a metaphor that your audience is going to relate to. Good ideas fulfill a need. So highly efficient ideas help people fill in some blank in their head, whether they even know that that blank even existed before. It serves some kind of a need and fulfills it for them. And they bring out that with your platform, or not with your platform, but with ideas and everything, you want to kind of release perfection over it. They said your ability to be comfortable with less than perfect content will be directly proportionate to the amazing things you create. In other words, creating today's garbage is an important aspect of creating tomorrow's gold. So you create a lot of ideas, you throw them out there, it's like spaghetti, does it stick, does it not, you know? And so I really do this a lot. I was like, the more content I can create and toss out there and see what people like, what they resonate with, what they don't, then I'm starting to learn. And I've noticed that the more I do that, then the more gold, so to speak, I create, the more stuff that gets shared or liked or whatever, because I'm learning what is resonating with people. So don't be afraid to create something that's garbage. They talked about how that people don't remember the garbage. Okay, they remember your really good ideas or your massive disasters, like the Edsel or something, you know, and Ford's. That was his big disaster thing. So people remember that, but they don't remember your everyday. Yeah, that wasn't anything. I didn't notice that. I mean, people don't notice all your Facebook posts that are not all that intriguing. They just go by, right? They don't. It's not like you're going to be hurting yourself with those. It's just when you make a major mistake that somehow. I think that's kind of hard to do even today. And the really good ideas, they remember those. And then you want to tap into emotion. So using emotion in your content is essential to creating unique value. And you'll need to learn how. And this is because information alone rarely sways people. Only feelings do. And we see that a lot in the world today. A lot of people are completely driven by emotion in their choices, and sometimes you think, well, where's the logic at all? And there may not be any logic. They're very much driven by their feelings on something. So you need to be able to learn to tap in and speak to the emotion, because information doesn't have an impact on people's reactions. Instead of information, people largely react to emotion, and they feel an emotion when they are presented with something different and surprising. So, that's one of the things that I learned from doing writing novels is I learned how to tap into the emotions of the reader. Because if I could write a story, I was writing romance novels and trying to keep them clean. I wasn't trying to go to the erotic side of things. So I was doing these little clean romances. But if you can make somebody feel something, they won't put the book down, So the same thing goes with your message. You want to tap into those emotions, and you do that a lot with story. Sharing your experiences, sharing people in your community's experiences that really tap into emotions. So the more you can do that, the more you're going to win over your audience. Another thing about ideas is you want to simplify. And they bring out, tell it to me like I'm a 6-year-old. And they use the example of Nike. Nike has just do it. It didn't say execute and energize your peak performance, And they said, can you imagine if that was Nike's slogan? And yet many corporations use words like that, Just do it versus execute and energize your peak performance. It's like, it really drives it home, I think, with that example. And then so you could try it yourself. Describe what you do for work in 20 words of no more than 2 syllables. No more than 2-syllable words and no more than 20 of them. So I want y'all to try that. I don't know. Let's take a minute and try that right now. See if you can write down what you do in 20 words or less with 2 syllables. No more than 2 syllables in a word. And if anybody can do it and they want to raise their hand and share it, that would be kind of fun.
Seriously, 2 syllables?
Yeah.
Could I have 1 3-syllable?
No.
Oh, gosh. This is impossible. The word of what the women I work with is more than 2 syllables. Okay. I got it.
Good one, Andy. Andy says, I heal marriage and family pain and struggles. Good. Here's mine. I help people take what they know, create products from them, and sell them online. Anybody else got one?
Okay, I got mine.
Okay, try it, Donna.
I help people shift their mindset on a dime.
Very good.
Like that, Donna. I've got one. It's Joanne.
Hi, Joanne.
Hi. I teach people to invest for success.
I like it.
It's not very descriptive, but
Hey, it works though. It tells what you do.
I've got one.
Okay.
I help women going through hormone changes to embrace the new you.
Cool. You got it. Anybody else want to try it? Oh, Judy's got one. I teach women they are valuable in God's eyes. I'm like the key that opens the treasure within them.
Aww.
Cool. I like that. Y'all did a great job. See, you could do it. You did it. All right. So anytime you explain things like that, you can use that as your challenge to try to do that. There's also a website. I think it's called the Hemingway, something about Hemingway experiment or something like that, because you can take what you've written into this program and it will tell you how to make it like a lower grade level. Yeah, makes your writing bold and clear. So you paste your stuff in here, and then it will grade it for you and help you find out what needs to be simplified. So it's HemingwayApp.com. That was a good one to have on hand. So the next section is platform, and the two that go into it of your acronym are reach and exposure. So reach and exposure have to do with your platform. And platform is like a combination of tools you use to reach others and communicate your ideas. So the whole suite of all the tools where you're showing up. Your platform is your Facebook page or your Twitter, whatever thing you're using, whether you've got a public speaking platform, maybe it's your books, you're on Amazon, just all the places where you show up. So reach, is very important because ideas without reach are like plants without sunlight. They dry up, they shrivel, they sink back into the soil, and even the best ideas, if forgotten, lack power. So like all living things, ideas thrive on reach. You got to have the reach. And the other part is the echo, which is about keeping the message alive. It's keeping the message fresh so it feels pertinent to anybody who's coming in new. So not only is it that connection, that, relatability, but it's also like the rippling effect of your message, that it keeps staying fresh and new people are interested and it gets shared, and it's not like something that just dies out, one-hit wonder kind of thing. So you want people to think, oh, this is an interesting new voice, or I've been thinking this forever. Finally someone is saying it, or I've never thought about this before. Those are one of the three. You want one of those threes at least, for them to think that you're new and interesting, or never thought of. It's totally new idea, or at least it's something that, hey, you finally put into words what I've been thinking. I was looking at my own situation, like a lot of the posts that I write about freedom, and I think mine is more like, oh, I've been thinking this, but finally somebody said it this way. That's probably it, because most of the people who follow my stuff, it's like not like they've never heard of it before, but I usually fall into, it's an interesting new voice, or it's somebody's finally putting this succinctly. And they brought out that clarity in and of itself could be your contrast. So if there's nobody else really speaking clearly on a subject and it's all muddied up in the world, a lot of confusion, and you're a voice of clarity, that would be the contrast that would pierce through the muck and all of the noise, and you would be heard. So that's another possibility for the contrast. Okay, the next section is on your network, which is about the trust and the echo. When you're trying to build your network of people, you want to use the word you and mean one person when you do it. The more you can connect with everybody one at a time, the better. So you want to avoid things like you guys or y'all probably, or when people, want to speak to you, one person at a time. And so whenever you have a chance to show that you're exactly like the people you're blessed to serve, take it. That's a power move. They brought out the songwriter Adele, I guess, in her concerts. She just talks to people one-on-one. It's like a one-on-one conversation. It's like a fresh new conversation, and it's really vulnerable. And she, all of her albums are like dedications to all of her old boyfriends. So she'll talk about her relationships and how that song, how hard it was getting over that one or whatever. They said it's, I've never watched one of her concerts, but they said it was like kind of just sitting down with a friend kind of thing. So they were saying how she had really good echo on that. They brought out, if there's something quirky about you, package it in. Package it into what you're doing. So the parts of you that are quirky and different can often separate you from the crowd in a positive way. Think about that kind of thing. What makes you stand out, little quirky stuff. So here's how to inspire. You distill your message, will it down to the tightest, sharpest thing possible, and then you discover the core emotion behind the message. Once you have a larger, blurrier, 10,000-foot message, you can think about how a message like this is supposed to make people feel. So it's all about the feeling. What kind of feeling are you conveying? And then deliver that feeling over and over again from multiple angles. So your individual content that you're creating is all about delivering that feeling over and over again from multiple angles. And then combine that feeling thing with detailed examples of how it happened. So you don't want to be all motivational speaker type inspirational stuff. You want real examples, whether it's examples from your own life or people within your community, whatever. You want to have some grounding there with stories. and then just practice a lot. Keep putting it out there, keep seeing what resonates with people. And that's kind of it in a nutshell on how to inspire. What did y'all take away from that? What are you going to use? Anything stand out that maybe you could do with your message?
Well, I'm going to use that Hemingway app because that's one of the things that I think will help me zero in.
Yeah, it's good. I've thrown chapters of books into it and stuff, and it's a little overwhelming at first because I'm like, oh man, I have so much to fix. Evidently I talk on a higher grade level. Or write. I don't think I talk on a high grade level. I probably write on a higher grade level. Yeah, that's a good one. Anybody else? What's your takeaway from today?
I think the simplify just is the universe resonated with me when I was told to pick a verb that described what I did, and simplify was my word. I keep going back to that, and I think that's the key to it, is simplify, because we tend, and the, kick the perfection witch off my shoulder. She's a witch. Change whatever letter you'd like.
This may not be relevant to the whole group, but I just did that Facebook Live or whatever with Jennifer.
Mm-hmm.
So as you were going through these steps, I'm feeling really good about what I put in that talk. I think it was simple. I think it was clear. I think it appealed to the emotions. And I used personal examples as well as examples from other people where I am stymied, and this is relevant to the whole group, that there's very little interest in that topic. There's only one person really who has made a comment, even though there have been a lot of views. So that's one of the things I wanted to ask you about. I don't think it was a throwaway video at all, but you're talking about connecting with the audience, and it feels to me more like this was a Jennifer promoting Judy for using her voice for women in the arena of government. So, if nobody else has seen it, they can't really relate to it, but it was great at the time, but the connection piece, from my standpoint, looking at it now, is missing. How can you relate this to these people who might not have even seen it?
Well, I did watch it. So I think what that video did for you is gave you credibility. It's a credibility piece, and it's a trust piece. So I think that's the element that it brought out. And I don't think you need to look at every piece of content you create as having to have the whole formula. Think about, okay, I want to build credibility and trust. Let's just look at it from the perspective of the acronym. Let me go back over here, the acronym, and make sure I'm covering everything here.
Judy, how long was the video?
Ended up being 38 minutes.
Okay.
It was good.
Yeah, it was good. I don't think it's that nobody was interested. I don't think that's it. Okay, as far as contrast goes, you were definitely doing something different, okay? You were definitely, there's a contrast there between you and any other woman who is out there talking about women of value, because you actually did something. You figured out how to go into the government and make something happen, okay? So there's a huge contrast you got going there. I think Jennifer gave you some reach, okay, and some exposure would be like more than once exposure. So you're going to need to just keep delivering your message, okay? So That's going to have to come there. The articulation, like you said, is great. I think you built trust. Echo, that may be the part that you're feeling like you're not, I don't know whether that's the part that where you feel like it's not there. But I think it's too soon to say that there's nothing to that. It may not be that you're going to be here to train women on how to be active in government. I don't know is that really what you want to do? Probably not. So, but I think it established credibility and trust and gave you some reach. Now you need to keep going with your message and keep articulating it, the value of women and all of this, that whole message. Just keep articulating it and keep putting it out there. But I think the piece did a great job of a lot of these elements.
How do I keep it going if people aren't interested in that topic? I mean, like you're saying.
Well, they are interested in the topic of women having value, That's, you stick with your topic. This was a side thing that gives you credibility and that you're a woman who makes things happen and makes you contrast from the others.
I bet that there are pieces in that, and I haven't watched the video, Judy, but I bet there's pieces in that might be 30 or 60 or 90 seconds long that you can pull out.
That's a great idea.
I mean, I believe within that that's a gold mine, because you can have oodles of pieces that you can reframe, because I think there's a couple reasons why people don't comment. A 38-minute video on YouTube is very long. I mean, on Facebook, it's a long video. People respond better to videos from 90 seconds to 3 minutes. If they're going to comment, the shorter the video. I've learned this from taking videos of Mama Peggy. If it's a 3 or 4 minute video, there's not as many comments. If it's a 90-second to 2-minute video, and sometimes under a minute, I might have 500 views of that video and 35 comments before I even go back to Facebook.
Yeah.
So I think within that, you've got a gold mine.
Yeah, and Jennifer told me, because I got on the phone with her right after that we were talking about something else, and she said that she wanted to snip down like your 3 points that you had and turn that into a video. So you might ask her if she's done that or whatever, or get the original and we'll snip it down. But I think Donna's onto something with that, what she suggested.
Yeah, Judy, I have a question for you. So what is the call to action in this video? Just to get comments? Is that how you know people are interested?
Well, actually, I missed a great opportunity because I did not want it to be about me. And in the beginning, Jennifer said, "Tell me a little bit about yourself." And I said I was prepared for everything but to talk about myself. And then I switched the subject. So if I'd had these 20 words, that might have been appropriate, but I was so conscious of not focusing on me because I wanted to be supportive of what she was doing with what she does at 11 o'clock every day. So I was going to come along and link arms with her and help her look as good as she could for having me as a guest. So I completely blew that, and then there was never anything that I said, www.womenofvalue.org. She put my name up there, and she put her name up there, and she listed the 3 points as they came up. But if anybody wanted to find me or go to my site, Judy G. Reed is the only thing that came out. So in evaluating it later, I guess the best way to say I just missed an opportunity.
Well, you could fix that. I have a suggestion for you. Okay. Is you could get that video and either put it on a page where you have a call to action where people can get something free from you, And that way you get their name and their email address, and you can give them more information on that subject and see what they're interested in. And Donna's suggestion was great. You could actually take pieces of that 90-second pieces of that and have a call to action after each of those pieces, and say, if you and the call to action is to get them to that page to watch the full video. And then on that page, there's something either that pops up or on the page that says, if you'd like to find out more, or if you'd like this free special report. I think you worked with Marnie on creating something.
Yeah, you've got that audio that we did, that interview for Women of Value.
Right.
I would link them into that.
Right. Well, since this was Jennifer's program and I was her guest, she was very kind to share it on my Facebook page. But essentially, there's an integrity piece, and maybe I'm just overly.
Well, ask her if you could use it. I'm sure she'd let you use it. Plus, you could also give a plug for her thing in there too, so that people can go and listen to more of her stuff. But if she wants you to do that, but ask her. I'm sure she'll let you use it.
She'll let you. Just ask her.
Yeah, just the one thing that I've learned about creating content is that I thought, well, I just did that, and okay, I did that, now let's do something else. And what I've discovered is the very first piece that I did on Instant Teleseminar in 2010, 7 years ago, I came across it recently, and I started listening to it, and I went, whoa, man, that's really good. Why did I hide that? Because I could literally take that. It was like a 90-minute training program. It was a free webinar. I was giving away so much, and I said, wow, what I need to do is take that and chunk it down into a batch of great content. Even though the audio is good, but the video's not, because it was on Instant Teleseminar. Well, that's easy. I've still got the slides. I can take the pieces of the audio and link them with a PowerPoint and turn them into a couple of minute segments.
Hey, Donna, that's a great idea. I'm going to look back at my stuff.
Let me tell you what, Joanne, you are going to find that you have more than you ever imagined you have, and you're going to say, whoa, I don't have to create more content. I need to learn how to repurpose.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, that's great, because I think we're all guilty of, when we start, we give away the farm on our free stuff that we do, and then we wonder why nobody's buying our product. Is because, why buy the cow when you're getting the milk for free?
Yeah, I keep thinking that I need to continually, feed people fish rather than teach them how to fish. And I've taught them how to fish. I just failed to do that, to bring it forward. Repurpose.
Yeah, great. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah, I have I had my She Loves God site for like, I don't know, well, since about 2000 through about 2014. So I had about 14 years, and I had a database that ran it. It was like a Microsoft Access database, and I downloaded that before I let it go, because it was an article directory, and Google wasn't being nice to it. So anyway, I pulled it down, and I decided to resurrect it lately. So I pulled up that database, and I've been looking through it, and I'm like, I got some really good articles in here, so I've just been handpicking ones that seem relevant and sticking them, into the WordPress system, and people still find them relevant. They're still saying, oh, this is really good. It's like I wrote it, I don't know how many years ago, probably 10, 12, some of them 14 years ago. So yeah, the content's repurpose, just tweak it, do whatever you need to do. I was trying to find this one part where they were talking about when to start charging, because they were saying, you give away the free stuff, and then they had kind of an interesting delineation on when you start to charge. Joanne's comment made me think of that, but I don't know if I can find it. It's a big book, so Yeah, I'm not seeing it, but it was basically like you charge for the hard stuff, the stuff that's, you know, the stuff that's more work, you know, you give away the basics, and then the part where they really, that's the hard part, that's what you charge for.
I think the biggest key is figuring out, creating the boundaries between what you're giving away and what you're charging for. I think we sometimes undervalue what we do, and we want to tell people how to do it, but what we actually need to do up front is to tell people what's going to happen. Yeah. And the charging part is the how. And you can give them examples of what the outcome might be with your stories and other people's stories. You need to give them a little bit of a how, a little taste of how, just a little taste. And then the charge part is the how. I'm actually retaking Connie Reagan Green, you know the name, Marnie?
Yeah, I know Connie.
Yeah, she's changed her funnel. She used to charge $500 for a course about emailing. And last week, she said, oh, last minute, here, $39 for my 4-week course. And I went, a little reminder's a good idea. I'll take that. Basically, I took it because I wanted to see what she was funneling. That's what I wanted to see. And she does her GoToWebinar, the visuals are on GoToWebinar, but she does the auditory on Instant Teleseminar. So people have the audio instantly after it's over, and it's a little challenging to get people to have both of those simultaneously. But on the Instant Teleseminar replay page, she had a link to her $500 a month or annual program. So she talked about the fact that when you give somebody something free, you email them. I've heard people say every 2 to 3 days. She's saying email them every single day, but it needs to be conversational. Very short, very conversational, and then you can repeat yourself in a way that doesn't sound like you're repetitive. So I think that that's a really good thing, but have something that you give away, but start selling without trying to sell. You earn a sell.
I believe the NAMS folks, they email every day too, but they make it conversational like that too. So, any other questions or takeaways before we wrap it up? All right, my systems mastermind that's tomorrow. Several of y'all are on that. If you got friends who want to get in on that, not tomorrow, I should say Wednesday. It's on Wednesday. Yeah, tomorrow at midnight, I'm going to close the cart on that. So if you know anybody who's wanting to do it, I'm going to cut it off at that point because they need a little bit of time to do the homework of at least the first training and then bring it to the mastermind on Wednesday. So